Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed with NewsSource Scrawlers edition from May 12, 2025, which provides a comprehensive daily news digest.
The establishment of a new office in Phuket for Vanuatu's Golden Visa program highlights the potential risks associated with selling citizenship. The UK is set to implement stricter rules for skilled worker visas, requiring applicants to possess degrees as part of a broader immigration reform. The Taliban has temporarily banned chess due to concerns about it being linked to gambling. France and Poland have committed to defending each other under a newly signed cooperation agreement. In a display of military strength, Putin organized a parade in Moscow featuring 11,000 troops, 200 tanks, and the presence of 28 foreign leaders, which was described as aggressive. China has welcomed a group of 100 military officers from Africa to enhance their defense partnerships.
The UK government has announced that beef treated with hormones will not be allowed into the country following a trade agreement with the US. British aircraft components have been granted an exemption from tariffs imposed by President Trump as the trade deal between the two nations continues to develop. The Swiss president expressed disappointment with the tariff discussions with the US and expressed optimism that the upcoming meeting between the US and China will yield more positive results. In other news, China is focusing on cracking down on smugglers to enhance its export regulations on essential minerals.
India has accused Pakistan of deploying as many as 400 drones to launch attacks on various cities and military bases. In a related development, Donald Trump announced that India and Pakistan have reached an agreement for a complete and immediate ceasefire. This announcement comes after the Indian Premier League (IPL) was indefinitely suspended due to the ongoing military conflict between the two nations. Despite the ceasefire agreement, reports of violations have emerged. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has released $1 billion to Pakistan and has approved a new program worth $1.4 billion. Trump advocates for an additional 20,000 officers to assist in deportation initiatives. The mayor of Newark is released following his arrest at a protest at an immigration facility, claiming, "I committed no wrongdoing." The U.S. Department of Education initiates an investigation into foreign funding at the University of Pennsylvania after finding erroneous and delayed financial disclosures from foreign sources.
Ukraine and Hungary have each expelled 2 diplomats amid a dispute over espionage. Reuters indicates that the United States is considering granting Greenland special status as its interest in the island grows. Bangladesh has prohibited the Awami League, the political party of the former prime minister, under terrorism legislation.
OpenAI is planning to modify its partnership with Microsoft by decreasing the revenue share. Apple is potentially set to introduce a new iPhone model in 2027, featuring a design that is predominantly glass and curved. Coinbase had contemplated adopting Michael Saylor's strategy for purchasing Bitcoin but ultimately chose not to proceed. Following this decision, Coinbase announced the launch of 24/7 futures trading for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, just one day after revealing its significant acquisition of Deribit.
The Federal Trade Commission has postponed the implementation of the click-to-cancel rule for subscription services by a period of 60 days. According to a recent survey, Approximately 25% of consumers in the United States are currently using buy now, pay later options to finance their grocery purchases, as economic challenges continue to intensify. The Prime Minister of Australia has declared that his government's top priority is to alleviate student debt.
Trump is set to meet with Gulf leaders during his visit to Saudi Arabia, and the Trump administration is reportedly considering accepting a luxurious palace in the sky as a gift from Qatar, according to sources. Boeing has announced plans to deliver the new Air Force One jets by 2027, which would be before Trump's term ends. However, Qatar has dismissed reports of the potential jet gift to Trump as inaccurate.
Pope Leo XIV has cited artificial intelligence as one of the influences behind his choice of papal name, indicating that he intends to closely adhere to the teachings of Pope Francis. He also acknowledges that AI poses a significant challenge for humanity. Donald Trump has dismissed the head of the Copyright Office just 2 days after a report suggested that using AI for training might not qualify as fair use. In response to criticism over its terms of service update, SoundCloud has stated that it has never utilized artist content to train its AI models, despite previous reports indicating a change in its AI policy to allow training on users' audio.
Young people in Georgia are gradually abandoning their traditional Southern accent, which is part of a broader national trend of changing regional accents. Chimpanzees employ certain language elements to communicate with one another, and they exhibit a consistent rhythm when they drum on tree trunks, an ancient method of communication. The upcoming sequel to Godzilla x Kong has been titled Supernova and has started production with a planned release in 2027.
The remains of soldiers V. Feldman, who had been missing for 43 years, have been retrieved from Syria by the Mossad and the IDF. A representative of Trump has confirmed that Hamas has consented to release the final surviving American hostage held in Gaza. A report indicates that a notorious Nazi war criminal played a role in establishing a major drug cartel and collaborated with Pablo Escobar.
The Wall Street Journal has reported that Donald Trump made a public promise to swiftly conclude 2 ongoing wars. However, in private conversations, he has expressed feelings of frustration regarding this matter. European leaders have indicated that Trump committed to imposing sanctions on Russia unless a ceasefire is reached. Vladimir Putin has suggested initiating direct peace negotiations with Ukraine, marking the first such proposal after 3 years of conflict. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has informed Putin that Turkey is prepared to host these potential Russia-Ukraine peace talks. In response, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has insisted on a ceasefire being established before he will consider agreeing to Putin's request for direct discussions.
The USDA and DOJ are requesting that states provide personal information regarding food stamp recipients. Trump has announced his intention to mandate that the U.S. pay only the same prices as other countries for certain medications. Trump plans to establish a national center for homeless veterans using funds that were previously allocated for housing illegal immigrants, with an executive order proposing to house homeless veterans at a VA center in West L.A.
Trump suggests that the Wall Street Journal should appoint the editor from the New York Post due to its critical reporting. Mexico has filed a lawsuit against Google for altering the name of the Gulf of Mexico for users in the United States. It has been reported that a Trump envoy used a Kremlin interpreter during discussions with Putin aimed at resolving the conflict in Ukraine.
Kids born in the year 2020 are expected to encounter an unparalleled level of exposure to severe climate conditions. In Somalia, A tragic incident occurred where at least 7 individuals lost their lives due to heavy rainfall that caused the drainage system to fail. Scientists from the European Union have raised concerns about the worsening spring drought situation. The United States and China have reached an agreement to reduce tariffs by 115% over a 90-day cooling-off period. Thailand is preparing for a temporary halt in investments due to the ongoing uncertainty surrounding U.S. tariffs. CNN has reported that no ships from China are currently heading to California's major ports, a situation not observed since the pandemic. Poland accuses Russian intelligence of orchestrating an arson attack on a Warsaw shopping center last year, and has subsequently ordered the closure of the Russian consulate in Krakow, attributing the decision to the arson incident linked to Moscow. The NATO chief, as reported by the Dutch Prime Minister, is advocating for member countries to increase their defense spending to reach 5% of their GDP by the year 2032. A study by the People's Liberation Army in China indicates that the country, which is set to have over 100 nuclear reactors, could face the risk of some of these reactors being targeted during wartime.
CATL's $5.3 billion initial public offering in Hong Kong has successfully bucked the trend, marking the largest stock sale in the city since 2021. Bloomberg highlights that the tech industry is cautioning that U.S. investment commitments are contingent on the continuation of a research tax credit. TNR reports that manufacturers are expressing that former President Trump's policies have rendered it nearly impossible to establish factories in the United States. Furthermore, Bloomberg notes that Europe's gig economy is increasingly being dominated by U.S.-owned companies.
Malicious NPM packages have compromised over 3,200 users of the Cursor application by installing a backdoor and stealing their credentials. A software engineer working for Doge had their computer infiltrated by malware designed to steal information. Furthermore, a North Korean operative attempted to secure employment at a well-known cryptocurrency company but was caught off guard by a straightforward question related to Halloween.
Research indicates that individuals with a history of violence tend to interpret faces that are unclear or ambiguous as expressing anger. It has been found that professions such as teaching and librarianship are associated with a lower risk of suicide. Furthermore, a study proposes that engaging in meditation over an extended period might help alleviate stress and slow down the aging process.
Coffee shops are reportedly removing Wi-Fi and laptops in an effort to reduce the number of people working remotely from their premises. In a separate incident, Pearson, a major company in the textbook and testing industry, has been targeted by a cyber attack, resulting in the leakage of customer data. Nintendo has announced that it reserves the right to render its consoles unusable, or brick them, if they are used in an unauthorized manner, as part of its strategy to combat piracy.
The Food and Drug Administration has given its approval to the first ever at-home test that serves as an alternative to the traditional Pap smear. In a groundbreaking development, a new PTSD treatment has been introduced that involves stimulating a nerve located in the neck, resulting in the complete eradication of symptoms. Physicists have achieved a remarkable feat by transforming lead into gold, albeit for an extremely brief duration, as observed by the ALICE experiment at the Large Hadron Collider. In the United Kingdom, an artificial intelligence model has been developed using anonymized data collected from 57 million individuals. Insurance companies have introduced policies to provide financial protection against damages resulting from errors made by AI chatbots. A study has revealed that requesting brief responses from chatbots can lead to an increase in the occurrence of hallucinations.
New Scientist discusses the increasing severity of AI hallucinations, indicating that they are becoming a persistent issue. Klarna has decided to slow down its AI-driven job reductions by advocating for the continued employment of human workers. A study proposes that the use of AI can negatively impact one's professional reputation.
YouTube Music Charts, Global Top Songs from May 2nd to May 8th, 2025, feature the following hits. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, APT by Rose and Bruno Mars, Paso Bame Solto, Slowed, by ATLXS, and El Mayor de los Ranas by Victor Valverde and Jair Torres.
Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global, spanning from Friday, May 2nd to Thursday, May 8th, 2025, includes the following tracks. Die with a Smile, by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Ordinary, by Alex Warren, Birds of a Feather, by Billie Eilish, and APT, by Rose and Bruno Mars. Steam's most popular games. Featuring the leading games in sales and player engagement on Steam. Based on the revenue rankings of the top 100 products, for the period from Tuesday, April 29, 2025, to Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Counter-Strike 2, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion Remastered, Schedule 1, REPO. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA has become more vigilant about less advanced cyber actors focusing on industrial control systems, ICS, and supervisory control and data acquisition, SCADA, systems within the critical infrastructure sectors of the United States, particularly in the oil and natural gas industries, as well as in the energy and transportation sectors.